Hey, what's up? This is Monster Crafts, and this video is going to be a tutorial on how to make Regirock from Pokemon. First thing we do is we start off with the backbone, which is what the rest of the wire pieces are going to stick to. And this piece of wire is going to act as the hips for Regirock. I have a full video on how I use wire to make skeletons for my pipe cleaner structures. It should be linked right in the corner there, but I'm going to be going over it all anyway, so you don't need to click away. Next is the chest piece, which I try to make look generally like Regirock. Regirock in the anime and then also in the games doesn't have any kind of hip rotation at all, but just the way I know how to make things, he's going to be built to kind of have one, but later on he's going to be so built up that it's not going to be much of a rotation. But he technically could have one if he was a lot thinner. And then I make a new backbone piece because the one I made was too small. So I just made a new one that was slightly longer. Next thing we do is we cover up all the pieces in pipe cleaners. We attach the hip piece to the main spine. And then we connect the chest piece to the main spine, mainly along the 2 points at the bottom and then one at the top. And now we're going to make the wire structure for the legs, which is going to be one piece that's going to form both legs. And these are going to be pretty short. These don't include the feet, so it's just the main two pieces. And now we connect the piece with pipe cleaner, and then we wrap along the length of the leg piece. Next is going to be the wire for the arms. Again, a single strand of wire, and it's going to be a lot longer than the leg piece. Regirock's arms are made of mainly 5 pieces, so you have the 3 smaller rocks in the middle, a club at the end, and then the large orange shoulder piece at the top. The length of these was made to go halfway through the club, so that it's going to stop halfway. And then we wrap it in pipe cleaners like we did the rest of the wire. And then we attach it at the base of the spine and on the 2 corners of the chest piece. So it will sit roughly about right there. You're going to want to make sure that it's wrapped pretty tightly to the top of the chest piece, because this area with the arms is going to take a lot of strain and you want to be really firmly in place. So use the corners of the chest piece and then use that whole bit of area that you have on top of the triangle there. And that's roughly what the skeleton is going to look like. That's the beginning portions of the skeleton. And here's what the legs look like. There's not really any bend in the legs. And this is the start of the head of Regirock. There's no wire used in this part of the craft. I just made this shape with a pipe cleaner and just keep wrapping on top of it. This is the craft with most of the things on. Next, we take some more wire and we make circles out of them to form the pieces of rock that are on the arms. This is going to be the orange shoulder piece that's at the top of the arm. It ends at the beginning of the chest piece. They are angled so that when the arms are down, they go straight up and slightly above the height of the head. I'm making a square at the top to give me a rough cylinder shape that I can build pipe cleaners up to. The next part is the 3 little stones that are on each side of the arms, and I gotta tell you, these are an absolute pain to make. I could not get them small enough. I think I end up throwing all these away and just making literally the smallest bit out of these wires I possibly could. Barely held together. This is the piece that's going to form the club at the end of the arm. And this was awkward because half of it hanged off the arm wire. It only had one main connection point at the top of the circle and then onto the arm. So I just kind of continuously covered it with pipe cleaners until it just wouldn't go anywhere. But there could be a better solution to this. Probably extending the arm piece further down so that it connects in 2 places instead of just one. Here we have the ones I actually end up using for the 3 stones for the arm pieces. As you can see, they're a lot smaller. And the reason they had to be so small is because I would run out of room along the length of the arm. So I had to fit exactly 3 on here. I know this looks like a mess right now. It worked out pretty well in the end. I would not recommend going this scale again. You definitely want to make these bigger because they're just too small for this gauge of wire. But we get a nice arm bed there that will bend at each of the points of the rocks. So you can think of every space between the top rock and then the 3 rocks and then the main club. Every space between those is a joint. The arm wire can bend at that point. And this is what the full arm will look like. It doesn't have all the pipe cleaners on it yet, but you have the 3 rocks right there, the club, and the shoulder piece. It has pretty good articulation. To fill in these spaces, these pockets created by pipe cleaners, I like to put in foam in there. I've seen other people use tissue paper, toilet paper, napkins, whatnot, and it creates a little outward pressure onto the pipe cleaner, and it gives me something to wrap around. Since both the arms are connected on the same piece of wire, they can technically move together. It's not necessary to pose it like that, but it is, you could call it a feature. And it goes the same for the legs. And here, Regirock's other spot is being sewed in. I recommend doing it at the time when you're doing the tan piece. So the piece above is kind of sewed in and it doesn't bump out like this one will. So I recommend doing it while you're doing the main body, putting in this orange spot instead of waiting until like the piece is already done. This is the 3 main pieces on the back. They're pretty similar to the shoulder pads, and you're gonna make a shape and then just kind of fill it in. And here we have the finished craft. So this is Regirock. For the short, what I did is I took out the little pieces of the eyes and I put in these other ones and I alternated the combinations. But yeah, there it is. And in terms of flexibility, it's got a lot of arm movement. It can go back that far. Both arms can do that, it can go out that wide, and the legs have a pretty good spread. You can crank it back. I wouldn't recommend going really far. It may not damage the figure, but might do something to the wire pieces underneath. And the arms are fully flexible. They can bend whichever direction. And the back looks like that. So there it is. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I thought the short was pretty hype because of the unique noises Regirock makes. I think that'd be a really cool short. This was also requested by a subscriber quite a bit ago, and I finally got around to it. So thanks for watching, and see you next video.